scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Gila.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all our viewers. I'm Gila Pablo, bringing you the latest news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. Waters are raging through the streets of Aceh province, forcing thousands to leave their homes after days of torrential rain.
Metro mayors unanimously agreed to pass ordinances that will restrict the movement and activities of unvaccinated people in the National Capital Region.
Good afternoon, please.
A local think tank says the Philippine economy may post a growth of 5 to 6% in 2021 on the back of easing mobility restrictions, particularly in the last quarter of the year.
Fireworks crafted from traditional Thai sticky rice illuminate Bangkok's Chao Phraya River on New Year's Eve as Thai authorities brace for an Omicron outbreak.
First in our news, waters are raging through the streets of Aceh province, forcing thousands to leave their homes after days of torrential rain. 4 days of intense rainfall triggered the floods in Aceh, according to Indonesia's Disaster Mitigation Agency. Let's listen in.
Makin tinggi. Abang di rumah gimana, Bang?
Kita ada.
Kita ada. Tadi
orang-orang merasakan bagian rendam juga.
Enggak. Berarti ini mengungsi, Bang? Mengungsi. Udah
Ke toko-toko yang mau dibuat tuh.
Oh. Ini bantuan sendiri ada nggak, Bang?
Kalau bantuan sementara ini kami belum dapat apa-apa.
Belum apa-apa.
Now, local administrations have declared a 14-day emergency. Temporary shelters have been set up at different locations to accommodate those whose homes are underwater. Fatal landslides and flash floods are common across the Southeast Asian archipelago during the rainy season, which started in September. Now, these disasters are often caused by deforestation and poor mitigation planning, according to environmentalists. 7 people were killed in a landslide triggered by torrential storms in Sumatra last month. In April, meanwhile, last year, more than 200 people were killed in a cluster of far eastern islands in Indonesia and neighboring Timor-Leste as tropical cyclone Seroja turned small communities into wastelands of mud and uprooted trees.
Thousands more people have fled swamped homes as heavy rains exacerbated flooding in 7 Malaysian states. Officials said Sunday, with over 125,000 people evacuated in total since mid-December. The National Disaster Management Agency said the weeks-long bout of bad weather was expected to carry on until Tuesday. Dangerous water levels were detected in rivers in at least 5 states, a government monitoring website showed Sunday, with the rising levels recorded in many other areas. Some 50 people have been killed so far, a police Facebook post on Saturday said, with 2 still missing. The tropical Southeast Asian nation often faces stormy weather around the year's end, with seasonal flooding regularly causing mass evacuations. But authorities have been taken by surprise by the days of constant rain that began on December 17, causing rivers to overflow and inundating cities. Malaysia's richest state of Selangor, the country's commercial hub, has been among the worst hit. Around 117,700 of those evacuated since mid-December have returned to their homes, though nearly 10,000 people in 5 states on the country's peninsular and in Sabah State on Borneo Island have sought refuge in relief centers, official data showed.
And to Thailand now, where Omicron cases passed the 1,000 mark on New Year's Day. Live with us is Diomerl Baldo, our EBC correspondent there. Hello, Diomerl. Please tell us more.
Yes, hello, Alma. The Basic Education Commission, or the OBEC, orders to return to online learning for a week when classes resume today, Tuesday, after the New Year holidays as response to the increasing number of Omicron variant infections of the COVID-19. Amporna Pinasada, OBEC Director General, said that this is a joint decision made by Educational Service Area Office Directors, school directors, and provincial control disease committees to help bring infection numbers down during this period where citizens return from get-together parties celebrations. OBEC will allow each education area and province to decide and make respective pronouncements after the New Year holidays, after obtaining a report that many schools in Bangkok have decided to run online courses due to students and parents having only just returned from provinces. In Ubon Ratchathani, the Provincial Disease Control Committee has decided to implement online learning until January 17th, while cinemas have been closed until the same day as COVID-19 cases, especially of Omicron variant, are escalating. For Thailand's update on COVID-19 situation, the Public Health Ministry announced 3,091 new COVID-19 cases and 12 more fatalities during the previous 24 hours. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much for that update, Diomerl. Please stay safe. Thank you for your time.
You keep safe to reporting live from EBC Thailand Bureau. I am Diomerl Baldo, and we live in interesting times.
The country is now classified high risk for COVID-19 following the increase in cases toward the end of 2021, a health official said Monday. Here's Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergel. Let's watch this.
Looking at the epidemic curves of our major island groups, the island groups are starting to show sign of increase in cases. Moreover, the National Capital Region, which is the blue line, shows a sharp uptick in cases in the recent weeks. Nationally, we are now at high-risk case classification from low-risk case class in the previous week, showing a positive 2-week growth rate at 222% and a moderate risk average daily attack rate at 1.07 cases for every 100,000 individuals.
The health system's capacity in the region remains to be under 50% utilization, while the national beds capacity is at low risk with total utilization at 18% and intensive care unit beds utilization at 22%. The 5 other regions with positive 1-week growth rate and 2-week growth rate include Region 4A, Calabarzon, Region 3, Region 9, Region 11, and Region 10. These regions have low to moderate risk case classification.
Meanwhile, Metro mayors unanimously agreed to pass ordinances that will restrict the movement and activities of unvaccinated people in the NCR or National Capital Region, which will be under Alert Level 3 from yesterday to the 15th. Here's Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr., chairperson of the MMDA. Let's listen in.
Be prohibited in indoor and outdoor alfresco dining in restaurants and other food establishments, and shall likewise be prohibited from leisure or social trips to malls, hotels, event venues, sports and country clubs, and similar facilities in accordance with the guidelines of the Metro Manila local government units and concerned establishments. Ibig sabihin, kung ikaw ay hindi pa bakunado, yung mobility mo ay maraming restriksyon. para na rin maproteksyonan ka, ito'y habang meron tayong alert level 3. Any individual and or establishment found to be in violation, ito yung mga penalty and a fine of not less than 20,000 pesos but not more than 50,000 pesos, or imprisonment of not less than 1 month but not more than 6 months.
Now, Mr. Abalos also said earlier, unvaccinated people should stay at home. They will only be allowed out to buy food, water, and medicine. Individual outdoor exercise is still allowed for individuals regardless of vaccination status, age, or comorbidities within, quote, the general area of their residence. Example, within the barangay, purok, subdivision, or village, subject to the guidelines of the Metro Manila LGUs. Moreover, the unvaccinated are prohibited from indoor and outdoor alfresco dining in restaurants, as he earlier said, and other food establishments, and from leisure and social trips to malls, hotels, event venues, sports and country clubs, and similar activities. They're also prohibited to travel via public transportation by land, sea, and air, except for the procurement of essential goods and services. Abalos said these restrictions are only temporary and will only be lifted once the COVID-19 alert level in NCR is at alert level 2 or below.
The government is now eyeing to start the vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 years old against the novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19 this month. Presidential Advisor for COVID-19 Response, Secretary Vicencio Vince B. Dizon said they are now in talks with Pfizer International for the purchase of the necessary vaccine for the said age group. Let's watch this.
Hopefully, pati yung 5 to 11, pagkakuha natin ng supply natin galing sa Pfizer ngayong buwan ng January, masimulan na rin natin. So yan ang fina-follow up namin ngayon sa ating mga suppliers, sa Pfizer International, para po makapag-deliver na sila ng ating mga bakuna para sa ating 5 to 11. Dahil nakita natin ngayon, pati mga kabataan natin, lalo na yung mga exposed sa mga densely populated areas ay tinatamaan ng COVID-19. Kaya dapat i-prioritize natin ang pagpabibilis ng pagbabakuna sa ating mga kabataan.
To note, only Pfizer was able to secure an emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration that allowed the use of its COVID-19 vaccine for those 5 to 11 years old. Dizon said the government is prioritizing the vaccination of minors below 12 years old due to their high risk from infection. Based from its national COVID-19 vaccination dashboard data last Sunday, the Department of Health said the government was able to fully vaccinate 49.85 million of its over 100 million population. Dizon said they are targeting to increase this figure to 70 million by the end of February or early March.
Now, although there is still a need for more definitive evidence before declaring local transmission, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said there now is the assumption that the more transmissible Omicron variant is already in the community amid a prevailing spike in COVID cases. However, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere also said that with the experience in fighting Delta variant before, the country is more ready to deal with the Omicron variant. Take a look.
The number of families affected by the onslaught of Typhoon Odette in December has reached 1,242,737, residing in more than 6,794 barangays in 11 regions, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, said Tuesday. In its update, the NDRRMC said the affected communities are located in Mimaropa, Bicol Region, Western, Central, and Eastern Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Davao Region, Soc-Sargen, Caraga, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. A total of 1,487 evacuation centers are still operating and serving 86,227 families, while 36,364 families are being aided outside shelters by friends and families. The total number of deaths reported remained at 407, but only 76 have been confirmed and 331 are still being validated. The number of injured was placed at 1,147, with 74 confirmed and 1,073 being confirmed. Persons who are missing remain at 78, with 9 confirmed and 69 still awaiting validation. Damaged and destroyed houses were placed at 597,779 in 10 regions.
And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Na.
Nakakatatlong init ka ng spaghetti na yan eh.
Maraming malilito.
Sa kalabasa sa rep, kinuha ng pandesal.
Ibigay na lang sa uwak. Namuti yung sinampay.
Anong Tagalog ng I don't know?
Hindi ko alam. Patutuloy ako na dito.
Sa para exit, di ba lumalabas ang apoy?
Excited na akong tuto nito para masimulan natin ang Tuesday edition ng Say What?
Sa wakas.
Ay, ha? Ay, ha?
O tapos?
Ay, ha? Funniest nakaball videos.
Sa kabila ng patuloy na pagbaba ng alert level sa Metro Manila,
Sa gitna ng kabi-kabilang paalala sa mga magulang o guardian.
Matapos ang maghapong paghihintay,
mas matalas na pagtingin sa mga nangungunang balita.
Magdodoble kayo daw ngayon ang senador para ipakilala.
Tiniyak ng mga opisyal na mayroon silang sapat na supply ng bakuna naka-standby.
Magmamatyag at magiging mapanuri.
Maaaring magpa-drug test ang sinuman sa alinmang mga testing center.
Sa kaliwat ka ng batikos ng kanyang mga kritiko.
Mata ng Agila. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 6 hanggang alas 8 ng gabi. Dito lang sa Net 25.
Welcome back. Although there is still a need for more definitive evidence before declaring local transmission, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said there now is an assumption that the more transmissible Omicron variant is already in the community amid a prevailing spike in COVID cases. However, Undersecretary Vergeire also said that with the experience in fighting Delta variant before, the country is more ready to deal with the Omicron variant. Take a look.
So, hindi pa man tumataas ang kaso dahil sa Omicron, nagbabasta na po ang Department of Health together with the local governments, together with our hospitals. Tayo po ay nakapagbigay na ng abiso 2 weeks prior to this week, no? Dun sa ating mga ospital, sa ating mga facilities that they should be already expanding their beds, stockpiling their medications, and also yung mga equipments na kailangan ay kailangan nakaprepare na. So we are ready for this. And kung ano man po yung na-experience natin nung tumaas ang kaso, nung nag-Delta variant, tayo po ay mas handa na ngayon dahil atin pong naranasan na yung ganong kadaming mga nagpunta sa ospital at prepared na po tayo lahat. Protect ourselves by first masking. It is still important to wear our mask, do physical distancing, and most importantly, we should minimize the visits in these 3 C's areas like closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact settings.
In other news, according to Borneo Post, a total of 22,864,655 individuals, or 97.7% of the adult population in Malaysia, have completed their COVID vaccination as of yesterday. Based on the Health Ministry's COVID Now portal, 23,155,545 individuals, or 98.9% of the group, have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. For the adolescent population, 87.6%, or 2,758,498 individuals aged between 12 and 17 years have completed the vaccination, while 2,849,786 individuals, or 90.5%, have been given at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Meanwhile, a total of 208,327 doses of vaccines were dispensed yesterday, with 2,768 doses administered as the first dose, 3,843 as the second, and 201,716 as booster dose. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has confirmed another 2 cases of the COVID Omicron variant. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said this brings the total number of COVID Omicron variant cases in Malaysia detected in the country to 64 as of December 31.
Saying the safety of the public, his staff, and supporters is paramount. Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has ordered the closure of the BBM Sara Uni Team headquarters starting Monday, January 3, until further notice. This after twice weekly testing for COVID-19 among headquarters staff showed 20 staffers testing positive on Monday. The former senator also ordered the deferment of all activities of the Uni Team from January 3 to January 15. However, campaign preparations and other administrative functions of the Uni Team will proceed nonstop through work-from-home arrangements and virtual meetings of the concerned staffers and campaign personnel. All public appearances, sorties, and assemblies of the BBM Sara Uni Team will be postponed during the said period. The Uni Team also advised all its supporters nationwide to exercise self-restraint and avoid holding unilateral campaign or political activities that might result in the further surge of COVID-19 cases in their areas.
Philippine National Police Chief General Leonardo Carlos said he tested positive today for COVID-19 and is now under isolation. Unfortunately, he said, I too tested positive, including my duty driver and aide who were with me in the van Sunday morning. And I experienced fever, chills, and body sweat Sunday evening. But come Monday, only lower back pain remains, Carlos said in a message to reporters. He added, I'm under quarantine following the guidance of our health service. He and his close-in security and staff took a swab test on Sunday. Meanwhile, the PNP also recorded an increase in COVID-19 infections to 107 on Tuesday. Data from the PNP showed that the new cases bring the total number of active infections among police personnel to 164. The PNP had 0 cases on December 26 and 27 last year. But on December 28, the PNP started getting reported new cases of COVID infections. The PNP has recorded a total of 42,370 cases, of which 42,081 have already recovered from the disease, while the death toll still stands at 125. As of today, 215,916 PNP personnel, or 95.49%, have been fully vaccinated against the disease, while 8,702, or 3.85%, are still awaiting their second dose. But 1,492, or 0.66%, remain unvaccinated.
The provinces of Bulacan, Cavite, and Rizal will shift to a stricter alert level 3 from January 5 to 13 due to a surge in coronavirus disease or COVID-19 cases, possibly spiked by the Omicron variant, Malacanang announced Tuesday. Acting Presidential Spokesperson Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said the decision was reached by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF-EID, in a meeting on Monday. On December 31, 2021, the IATF raised Metro Manila to alert level 3 until January 15. Nograles said the current hospital care utilization rate is not as high. The Department of Health earlier said there was a high possibility of local transmission of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 after the country tallied more than 4,000 new infections for the second straight day. As of January 3, the DOH recorded 4,084 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the country's caseload to 2,855,819. The DOH also reported 497 more people getting better, bringing total recoveries to 2,779,241, while 16 more fatalities pushed the death toll to 51,586.
In a Vietnam news report online, Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee has just issued urgent guidelines for a 5-step quarantine procedure for those arriving passengers amid the emergence of the Omicron variant in Vietnam. According to the document, the self-quarantined area, including homes, hotels, offices, dormitories, guest houses, must meet the standards required by the Ministry of Health. If the accommodation fails to meet these criteria, incoming passengers will have to go into centralized quarantine facilities. The document also states that passengers arriving in Vietnam at Tan Son Nhat International Airport must comply with a 5-step procedure as follows. Step 1. To register a personal QR code which can be created using the PC COVID app or the Ho Chi Minh City COVID-19 Safety Portal website. It's also advised that passengers should register for the code before boarding their plane to Vietnam. Step 2 is to test for SARS-CoV-2 immediately upon arrival. Tan Son Nhat International Airport will set up a rapid testing area for SARS-CoV-2 and coordinate with international airlines to instruct people to test for the coronavirus at the airport. The personal QR code will be used to provide information to the testing unit. If the result is positive, the passenger will be taken for RT-PCR testing. Ho Chi Minh City Center for Disease Control will work with the 115 Emergency Center to transport the patients to field hospitals for quarantine and treatment. If the test result is negative, the airport and the airlines will guide the person to continue with the procedure to leave the airport for their residence. Step 3, after arriving at the accommodation, passengers must strictly comply with the 5K regulations. Step 4, monitor and declare health conditions on a daily basis. Step 5, conduct RT-PCR testing during the quarantine period at the accommodation. Vietnam so far has reported 20 Omicron infections, all imported cases which were all immediately quarantined upon arrival and reportedly all asymptomatic or mild cases. 6 of them, including 5 in Ho Chi Minh City and 1 in Hanoi, Vietnam's first confirmed patient, have been given the all clear after testing negative for coronavirus.
Stay tuned for more news. We'll be right back after this short break.
Ang inyong pinakabagong gag show.
Dito sa Net25.
Walang iba kundi ang
Season
Sarado nga pala ang puso mo sa tulad ko. Di mo ito sarado nga pala ang inso mo sa tulad ko. Di naman gwapo. Sarado.
Hi, ako nga pala po si Valid at may tunto pa rin na letters send request ngayong Sabado sa Letters and Music 1 to 2 p.m. at dito lamang yan sa Net25. See ya!
Welcome back to the program. The Philippine economy may post a growth of 5 to 6% in 2021 on the back of easing mobility restrictions, particularly in the last quarter of the year, according to a local think tank. In its latest market call report, First Metro Investment Corporation, University of Asia and the Pacific Capital Markets Research said the economy's growth will also be buoyed by the growth of the manufacturing sector. The think tank pointed out that IHS Markit Philippines Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, continued to increase. In November, PMI improved to 51.7, an 8-month high from 51 in October. The think tank said, I quote, the economic outlook for Q4 2021 and next year has brightened with more openings among firms and consumers, again filled malls and restaurants with Christmas parties and all the celebration. Besides, inflation will likely go below 4% in December and through 2022, thus fueling more spending. It added, we should end with a full year 2021 GDP growth of 5% to 6% and improve further in 2022 due to heavy election spending. However, UAP economist Victor A. Abola told the Business Mirror on Monday that the alert level 3 status may dampen this outlook. Over the weekend, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases placed Metro Manila under Alert Level 3 starting January 3.
Meanwhile, Singapore's economy grew 7.2% last year, rebounding from its worst recession since independence, sparked by the coronavirus pandemic, according to government data. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, however, said in his New Year message that Singapore was not out of the woods yet. He said entering the new year, the fight against COVID-19 is not over and the Omicron variant has brought new uncertainties. He added, however, that Singapore was in a better position to deal with the virus compared to 2 years ago, as booster jabs have been rolled out and vaccination of children under 12 years is underway. He also added that the economy is expected to grow 3 to 5% this year. The Trade Ministry released advanced estimates on Monday, showing the economy expanded by 5.9% year-on-year in the fourth quarter to December. And this brought full-year economic growth to 7.2%, reversing a 5.4% contraction in 2020, the country's worst since independence in 1965. Manufacturing, a pillar of the trade-reliant economy, surged 12.8% year-on-year, driven by global demand for semiconductors and semiconductor equipment, according to the ministry. Construction, a driver of domestic growth, rose 18.7% for the full year.
The number of international travelers during the last day of 2021 and the first day of the new year almost doubled compared to last year, the Bureau of Immigration reported on Monday. In a statement, Commissioner Jaime Morente said New Year's Eve and New Year's Day saw 10,140 arrivals, while there were only 5,791 during the same two-day period in 2020 to 2021. The number of departing passengers also increased to 6,951 from 3,770. I quote, "The trend shows a steady improvement in the number of travelers. While the figures remain low, this is a significant improvement from last year. We're hoping to see better numbers this 2022, he stated. BI Port Operations Division Chief Lawyer Carlos Capulong also reported that airport operations were smooth during the holiday season. He said in another statement, I quote, "We ensured that our manpower was maximized as we anticipated an increase in travelers. We also ensured that our e-gates are serviceable to be able to ease lines and ensure social distancing." End of quote. 99 new immigration officers were deployed to augment BI's airport manpower during the holidays.
Still in the country, the Department of Trade and Industry is expecting minimal impact on business as the National Capital Region reverted to Alert Level 3 until January 15. DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez said during the briefing, Laging Handa briefing, that the difference in terms of allowed sectors in Alert Levels 2 and 3 is minimal, and most business establishments are open, but with lower operating capacity level. Again, let's listen in.
Okay, sa tingin po natin, hindi po masyadong malaki ang epekto nito. Dahil naalala ninyo, nung tayo rin ay gumalaw mula Alert Level 3 nung bandang, I think, November last year, papunta sa Alert Level 2, nabanggit din natin na may kaunting pag-improve lamang dahil ang difference in terms of sectors open ay minimal na lamang, no? Ang malaking kinaiba lang nito ay yung mga operating capacity, as mentioned ninyo kanina, ay of course binaba by mga 20 percentage points. So yung dating 70% outdoor naging 50%, at yung dating 50% indoor naging 30%. So we're now talking of 30 and 50. Pero maalala ninyo na since this is NCR, at over 70% ay bakunado na dito sa NCR, may additional 20 percentage points. So sa mga operating capacity. So ang total sa indoor can be 50%, kung may safety seal 60%, may additional 10. So sa 60%, I think magandang allowance na ito sa operating capacity at I think itong maganda sa alert level system natin ngayon, it allows all businesses to continue to operate, no? Maliban lang doon sa yung hindi na in-exclude natin. Binanggit niyo kanina, no, na iilan lamang 'yon, yung mga sa funfair areas, gaming establishments, at mga indoor entertainment, karaoke bars. So kaunti lang itong mga nabawas or naisara uli na sektor, but practically all the other MSMEs and service-oriented businesses, including the gyms, the cinemas, etc., ay allowed pa rin naman sila ngayon. Of course, lower operating capacity.
Asian markets were mixed Tuesday as investors struggled to take their lead from yet another record on Wall Street that was fueled by easing concerns about Omicron and remaining optimism about the economic recovery. While the new COVID variant is spreading like wildfire around the world, it appears to be far less severe than initially feared, raising hopes that the pandemic could be overcome and life return to a little more normality. However, inflation, supply chain snags, central bank policy tightening, and geopolitical woes continue to weigh on sentiment, and analysts have warned that the blockbuster gains seen in recent years could be tougher to attain. I quote, "We expect 2022 to be far more challenging from an investment perspective," according to Heather Wald of Bel Air Investment Advisors. Furthermore, she said, rarely has a market delivered 3 consecutive years of double-digit returns as we have seen from 2019 to 2021, end of quote. Still, she expected equities to remain attractive versus other liquid asset classes. The Dow and S&P 500 started the new year in the same fashion as they spent most of 2021 by notching up new all-time highs, while Nasdaq also rallied thanks to a surge in big-name stars, including Apple, which briefly became the first firm valued at $3 trillion, and Tesla. But Asian markets were not quite as convincing. Tokyo and Sydney jumped more than 1% each on their first trading day of the year, while there were also gains in Singapore, Taipei, and Jakarta. But Hong Kong and Shanghai dipped, weighed by tech firms and ongoing fears about China's property sector, while Seoul was also in the red.
And the news continues here in ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Maraming salamat po, kapatid na Eduardo B. Manalo.
Maraming salamat po sa kapatid na Eduardo B. Manalo.
Maraming salamat po, kapatid na Eduardo B. Manalo.
Karamiwan na kami po'y hinahamak at tinataboy. Pero buong puso niyo kaming tinanggap at kinupkop. Kung dati, kung saan kami naninirahan, ngayon may permanente na kaming tirahan.
Maraming salamat sa kabuhayang pinagkaloob niyo. Hindi na po kami mangangamba sa aming kinabukasan.
Maraming salamat po sa pagbibigay ng edukasyon sa amin upang matupad na ang aming mga pangarap.
Mahal na mahal po namin kayo.
Welcome back. The presidential yacht BRP and ang Pangulo that has been transformed into a floating hospital has already been serving patients from isolated areas in the Dinagat Islands, one of the provinces devastated by Typhoon Odette in December. About 233 residents of 6 communities in the islands of Kapakyan and Sibanak who were treated by the medical team aboard the ship benefited from this mission, according to the Philippine Navy in a Facebook post today. The isolated communities were also given food, clothing, hygiene kits, and activity kits for the children. In the last 3 days, 373 residents of the province were seen and served aboard the ship. The BRP Ang Pangulo is part of the 26-ship flotilla deployed by the Navy to help communities battered by Odette. The ship left Manila on December 19, carrying thousands of relief goods and other essential items intended for the affected population in Mindanao. Navy spokesperson Commander Benjo Negranza earlier said they used their resources to assist disaster-stricken areas to ensure the timely delivery of relief goods to the typhoon victims.
Fireworks crafted from traditional Thai sticky rice illuminate Bangkok's Chao Phraya River on New Year's Eve as Thai authorities brace for an Omicron outbreak.
Wow, I wonder how they do that. Sticky rice? Were you able to watch the fireworks?
No, I'm sorry to say that I wasn't able to experience to watch any fireworks this year. Last year, I should say.
But were you with family?
Yes, I'm with my sister and her family. That's all for the new year.
That's good. Better be safe than sorry later. Yes. Thank you so much, Gila, for keeping me company today here on ASEAN in Focus.
You're very much welcome, Alma. And that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. And thank you for joining us here in ASEAN in Focus. This is Gila Pablo, and we live in interesting times.
Stay in the news. We'll see you back tomorrow. Same time, same place. You're on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.